sure that that fits into our space, that it makes sense with what we're already doing, that it is, a health and wellness benefit. And so I know that there is a lot of questions about why we chose this product, given some of the information that we have been given in the past, and that's valid. That's totally valid. But I asked Marlies if she would, and Dawn Dutcher tonight, if they would come on and kind of give us a training, so to speak, as what is the thought process behind why Green Compass did this. I know that Marlies often is involved in part of the R&D when it goes down for the Green Compass stuff. What the thought process is behind adding this to what we are doing, and how it fits in with what we are doing and who it's going to benefit. So I'm going to continue to let people in the room. Marlies, if you want to come off a mute, or I'll unmute you, either way, and you can just start rolling, and then we will let Dawn talk after that. But we're going to try and keep this to 30 to 45 minutes max. So I will let Marlies go ahead and take it away.
Hi, guys. So I hope you guys are really excited, because I know I am, and this meets a broader window of what we're going to be able to do for our clients. Is there somebody talking? Okay. So let's talk about first where this started. It has been the most requested product. And people have always been asking, like, how can we get products that you can feel more, or that have a stronger capacity to handle, let's say, like pain. And so when we first started developing the gummy, the first original full spectrum gummy, we got the product back and everyone felt it. Everyone tested it, and I got text messages from a bunch of 3 stars, and they were like, Marlies, we are all laughing and giggling at corporate right now, and some of us are like not even sure if we can drive. So fun tester, but we all realized if we're going to put a full spectrum gummy on the market, people need to first be ready to feel a product in general, right? And so we pulled the reins back and we said, I don't think that the world is ready for this yet. And so we created the full spectrum dual action gummy that we have now, right? It is a great daily use product. It doesn't necessarily make people impaired, right? Most people take it and they feel the results, but they don't feel impaired. And to bring a product to market that has a higher level of THC, we had to be very, very mindful of several things. Number one, is it going to fall under the legal limits, right, of the federal guidelines? Because there are several states that have no THC laws, unfortunately, that is just the reality that we're dealing with multiple states and multiple regulations. But we absolutely meet the federal guidelines, and I'll explain that in just a second. Number two, we needed something that was going to be a powerful enough product without sending people to the moon. So that was number two. Number three, we needed to make sure that we could do it fully organic with absolutely nothing in it. So we're talking about high quality, best quality that you can expect from Green Compass. And number four, it was a product that could also be microdosed or amended, right? So we knew already that our original gummies were large enough to cut into quarters, and we were able to take it even one step further and give you a product that you could also cut down to size. And so if you didn't know already how big they are, they're good size. They are about the size of, here's my thumb. So good size. Oh, there's a piece of hair on there. This is my social media gummy. So we're not eating this one. So it's about the size of my thumbprint. It's a good size. And I have been taking a third of this regularly because it is stronger than the full spectrum. And we'll talk about that. It is a ginger mint lemon taste. So if you've ever had like a nausea lozenge, have you ever had a nausea lozenge? It's like that lemon ginger mint flavor, or like a lot of the throat lozenges are ginger lemon mint. It's just such a beautiful flavor. It's nice and fresh. It is palatable, and you cannot taste any of the hempiness inside of it. So it's like a very, very clean tasting product. Very palatable, right? We want something that is so good for all consumers to taste that they won't smell it and go, is this weed? You know what I mean? So we wanted to make sure that the product was really, really good. So they did a great job. All of the ingredients, again, are completely organic. So you can just take what our full spectrum gummy. Unwind is just another level up. So let's talk about number one, federal guidelines. The federal guidelines for THC products are 0.3% THC. That is dry weight. That doesn't mean anything else but 0.3% dry weight. So how do we recognize to people that are like, how can 2.5 is higher than 3? Well, that's percentage, and 2.5 is milligrams, right? So they're not apple to apple. A lot of people are super confused with how things are weighted. So this is why you don't see, right? You go to a dispensary, you don't see a bunch of tinctures with high THC, right? Because the whole weight of the product when it's in a tincture has to be measured. Same with drinks, right? That's why drinks are hard to do, falling under the legal limit. But a gummy is weighted individually. So this is where we are able to take advantage of. This is how they made the law, and they're not going to amend it. This is too big of an amendment to make on sizes of gummy. I mean, they would have to write a whole other law. So the size of the gummy is 4,700 milligrams, 4.7 grams. I weighed it myself. So 4.7 grams is 4,700 milligrams. Of the total milligrams of this gummy is 2.5 milligrams of THC. Whether or not it's nano is not important, right? That's another big indicator of what we're able to do. So 2.5 milligrams of THC is in this gummy. We also have 25 milligrams of CBD, right? So it still has CBD in it. It's still going to counteract the level of THC that you feel, right? We're not doing pure THC in this. And so 2.5 milligrams out of 4,700 milligrams is 0.053%. So for anybody that's saying, how are we able to do this legally? That's how we're able to do it legally. It is the dry weight of the gummy. And this is how most people are being able to do this across all sorts of product lines, is because it is dry weight. That's why you'll only see edibles outside of a dispensary, outside of a medical dispensary, right? Medical dispensaries can get away with tinctures, but outside of a medical dispensary, based on the law, you cannot find this high level of THC because of the weight. Okay, so that's how we meet the federal guidelines. We are meeting the national federal guidelines of 0.3% dry weight. Most of the states are 0.3% dry weight, okay? There are a few states that are 0% now. Does that mean that you cannot buy Green Compass online? It has nothing to do with purchasing online. E-commerce laws follow federal guidelines due to the USPS, right? We use USPS. Those follow under the federal guidelines. So if you ship it to, let's say, Idaho, that has a 0% law, you can purchase it, right? You can purchase it. Now, what happens to that person if they're out driving around with their gummies? You have to check the possession laws now, right? So this is something that we have to understand per state. So Idaho, a Green Compass advocate cannot go and sell at a farmer's market any of our products that have THC at all. They can sell anything else. Digestive jellies, collagen, all of our broad spectrum products, right? They're fine with it. All of our topicals, right? But it's only ingestible. So I want you guys to know that even if it says full spectrum on it, if it's ingestible, that's when it matters. So for the states that have 0%, I think it's only 2 or 3. Wildly, it's California right now, and I think that's going to be overturned. It only has to do with consumer purchasing. So you can't sell it in a store. You can't sell it in a spa anymore, right? Those are really what they're going after, is people selling it willy-nilly in vape shops, CBD shops, spas, outside of a medical dispensary, and they want to tax it, right? So when it comes down to possession laws, those states, and I think it's only Idaho that has a possession law. There's no other state that's going after people possessing full spectrum. But this would go for our original gummies too, and our tinctures, right? So it's not, this doesn't put us into another legal issue with Idaho. Okay, everybody good with that? Understand? It's only Idaho. Why they have a problem with THC at all, but there is a possession rule in Idaho. So those people can still use Green Compass. They can still sell Green Compass, but they have to be careful walking out of their house, right? What you do inside your house is a domicile rule, right? Who owns guns, right? You can have whatever you want in your domicile. Once it leaves your house, that's when it becomes a problem. So you can ship it to your house and you can walk it from your mailbox and you can use whatever you want. Just don't let it leave your house. So that's what goes for Idaho. California does not have a possession law, and I don't think any other state does either, right? They're just talking about, we want to tax the heck out of anybody that sells in a shop. So that's it. Did I say, hold on, let me look at the chat real quick so I can make sure I cover anything. Did you say California can't sell CBD with THC in stores? Yes. So I have a friend who has a company called, she's the Trusted Canna Nurse, and she had to pull all of her THC products. She cannot, and she was only interstate. So she's actually moved over to microdosing because psychedelics are illegal more than THC right now. Wild, right? So this is considered a full spectrum product because it contains both CBD and THC. We are not, I don't think we'll ever probably, unless things change in the market, do a pure THC product. Is the 25 milligrams of CBD full spectrum or broad spectrum? It's just CBD and THC. So it's considered full spectrum because the THC is present. So we will always still call this a full spectrum product. If it was only THC, we would call it isolate, right? Just like CBDA is isolate, which technically CBDA isn't really isolate, but you know, whatever. We're not going to get into it. So does anybody have a question about the weight and the laws? Okay, if someone doesn't get it, that's their problem. All right, you can send them the FDA.gov website. You can tell them what they need to research their own state laws. If someone goes, I don't believe that you can do this, oh well, sorry, I can't figure it out for you, right? I was explaining the weight to someone and she was like, I still don't understand how 2.5 is less than 0.3. And I was like, okay, whatever. Will someone test positive? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. 100% yes on this one. You take it and you will test positive the next day. Full spectrum is a very low amount, and so you could probably get away with it within a couple days. This one, if you are being drug tested or you have any chance of being drug tested, first of all, you shouldn't touch any of our full spectrum products that are oral. You can touch topicals all you want. You can use our intimacy oil that will not test positive. But yes, Robert, it doesn't matter how much you take, you will fail a drug test. So get a different job if you really want to get the gummies.
Become a full-time Green Compass advocate.
Yeah, right. Well, Robert works for the government, so I love you, Robert, but it's not for everyone, you guys. So we're going to talk about not for everyone. Is this product, so let's move into the next level, which is, where is this THC coming from? It's coming from our plants. Naturally, hemp has a higher amount of THC naturally, right? The federal guidelines of 0.3% dry weight, actually hemp runs around 1% to 3% THC naturally. So it's actually very difficult for farmers to fall under the guidelines because they have to actually harvest the plants early so that it doesn't bud THC, or like they have to literally look at the weather and go, is it going to get too hot? Because the plants will increase their THC amounts if a heat wave comes through, which is why Texas was having such a problem. Yes, Robert just wants to be informed because he is part of our Department of National Security. Robert is pro-cannabis and he fights for our rights for veterans too. So bravo, Robert, Homeland Security, that's right. So when we make this product and we extract THC from other things that we do, we always have like strains set aside, right? Like we always have things set aside. And so when we extract certain things and we isolate certain things, then we have extra of things. So and honestly, you just almost don't have to really alter it. But in this case, we are using nano THC. So this is where it gets interesting because 2.5 milligrams, technically, you don't really feel. When I work with people with Parkinson's and other neurodegenerative diseases, We always start them around 2.5. It's enough to make the body feel it, but you don't feel altered. But that's regular milligrams, right? We're talking about medical. So that's regular milligrams, but this is nano THC. So remember how nano is 10 times stronger because of the absorbency. It doesn't mean that it's now 25 milligrams, but what it means is it's going to go right into the bloodstream and our body's going to absorb it all. When you have a regular edible, it takes about 90 minutes for it to hit. So you need to tell your customers, you're going to have about a 15, 20-minute window where you're going to know how this product feels. And then you should cut it up, because somebody who has never had any type of THC outside, maybe they've had a couple full spectrum gummies and they feel pretty good with 2. This ain't 2 full spectrum gummies, right? Because every time you take another full spectrum gummy, you're eating more CBD, right? You're going from 25 to 50 to 75, right? So the full spectrum gummies do not equate an Unwind gummy. We're talking ratio of THC to CBD. So we're literally, in your head, you need to think, this is like 25 milligrams of THC and 25 milligrams of CBD. In your head, that's how you need to think. So because it's going right into the bloodstream. So the body is going to feel the THC. I have not a high tolerance. And so Amanda, you have a high tolerance. So it is kind of like a 1-to-1 if you've ever used a 1-to-1 product. I definitely felt one gummy. I definitely felt one gummy. Could I have driven a car? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would have been fine. But I really like a third of a gummy. And for me, that means an entire jar is going to last me a month, which is great for people that are like, I need 2 or 3 full spectrum gummies to feel what I need to feel, or go to bed, or have pain relief. And so will people use this recreational? Of course they will, right? People are going to use it as an alternative to alcohol. They're going to use it as a better option for against Xanax and things like that, right? People are going to use it because they want to have a fun time. And that's nobody's business but theirs, right? I work in the ministry, so it is not my business how people want to use their products. It's not my business. All we do is guide them, and we show them a safe way of starting it. So we need to say, if you've never had a THC product and you've never tried our full spectrum gummies before, I suggest that you cut it into quarters. And you start there and see how you feel. And don't let somebody who goes, I'm 300 pounds and I have a high tolerance and I've never had THC, but I probably could have 4 of them. Don't let them do that, right? It's better to microdose into it than to have too much. And then now you've got a return customer because they were locked in their couch for 4 hours.
That goes the same with CBD as well. I mean, my husband,
right? Like we want to make sure it's the right amount for them. And so somebody who's super sensitive, a quarter of a gummy could really make them feel a lot too, right? Because it's nano, because we're absorbing all of it. And it works within 15, 20 minutes. So if you're going to a party, let's say, and you want to have a mocktail and maybe a quarter of a gummy, within 15, 20 minutes, you'll be like, okay, I feel pretty good. I could probably take another quarter. And then after you've had the half, you're like, I'm good. I'm good. I only need a half a gummy, right? Some people are like 2 gummies, right? I had 2 gummies and I took a 3-hour bath. I was just testing it. It was only product demonstration, but I felt it. So keep that in mind. You think quarters are extreme. I take a third of a gummy and I sleep like a rock. And I don't necessarily feel it other than just the level, like everything in my body just goes wah, like that. And that's what I like, because I don't like to feel altered. I don't chase the alteration anymore. Amanda, you're right. If somebody is looking to replace alcohol, they might need a half to a full gummy. Is it safe for kidney failure clients? I cannot ever give you medical advice, Bill. And I don't know your client. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. If they're in kidney failure, there's a lot more issues. So, do you take it during the day or just when you want to unwind? Laura, that's a great question. I would test it at night. I would not take it during the day, especially if you have a job. I'm like, we're talking about that kind of feeling, you guys. This is a real feeling gummy this time. Real feeling. So, so yeah. We just want people to be safe and make good choices and do what's right for them. Okay, so let's talk about who are your customers for this product. People who cannot get sleep and they've already tried our other products, right? The sleep gummy doesn't work for me. CBN does the opposite. It makes me super wired. I feel really great about it, but I cannot settle down. Number two, people that have breakthrough pain. They wake up in the middle of the night because they have pain. They can't fall asleep because they have pain. And our full spectrum products and CBDA combined is not cutting it. They need some extra oomph. THC is a wonderful pain reliever. It is a great alternative to a lot of really dangerous drugs. Okay. And we're not giving people too much where there would be an issue. Number three, people with severe nerve issues. Nerve pain is the worst pain. And so if you can offer that to a client to make them feel more comfortable, then that's where it's great for. Number four, somebody who's going through a really, really stressful time and they need a temporary relief of a high level of stress and anxiety. Some people may need it during the day. And then number five is people that deal with things that are like movement disorders, Tourette's, Parkinson's, things like that, where like their body is moving or tremoring. And we've seen in case studies, this is just proven, we're not talking about our product proven to do this, but THC in general is helpful with movement disorders, tremors, nerve issues, and even I've seen this with people with Tourette's that it's calmed down their tics. So if we have somebody who has severe issues, this would be the time to go back to them and go, I know you tried our other products, but I really, really think that you need to try this because I think this may give you the relief that you're looking for. And it's clean and it's organic and it's safe. And you don't have to go buy some weird stuff down at the gas station or a vape shop or some unknown apothecary, right? Like we want to give people clean options. And we realized in the market that people were getting what they wanted anyways, right? We were telling them, don't buy Delta 8. And they were buying Delta 8 because they wanted to feel something. So, and then I really want to impart, stronger for seizures. I didn't want to necessarily say the word seizures because we have to be really careful because there's lots of different types of seizures and lots of different types of epileptic type of disorders. So in some cases, THC can actually trigger seizures. So we have to be really careful when you guys are working with someone who has a medical issue that you find someone on your team who is a nurse or a doctor or a holistic practitioner or someone who has experience. And that doesn't mean just me, like we have, there are other people on this team that are also medical professionals. There needs to be some oversight from a doctor usually. Because I have someone that came to me and they were like, hey, I want you to see my son. He has autism, he has seizures, he has this, and he has this. And I go, I don't want to touch that. Is he under the care of a doctor? No. Okay, well, where does he get his meds? Okay, we have to make sure that there are not, because there's interactions that can occur. So here we go. Here's where our interactions happen. If they're on a sedative, they should not take this. They should pick and choose, and that includes alcohol. Do not mix alcohol with THC because alcohol will sedate you. It accesses the brainstem, the heart, and the lungs, right? You can stop breathing. Your heart can stop. It'll shut down your brainstem. THC won't do that, but guess what? It'll help the other one do it, right? THC alone doesn't do that. It cannot kill you. You cannot overdose and die on THC. Real THC, right? Delta 8 has been a problem, but real THC cannot shut down the body unless you're on a sedative. That's some blood pressure medications act as sedatives. Not all blood pressure medications, but there's some that are used as sedatives. Xanax, opiates, Valium, things like that. So all of your benzos, right? All of your benzodiazepines, they should not be stacked with THC. Now, if that person is trying to get off those meds, they have to talk to their doctor about a weaning process to get off of the medication so that they can. I want you guys to be safe, right? We have to all be safe when we're dealing with a little bit higher of THC. I'm not saying that this will happen and it probably won't. But if someone comes to you and they're like, I love a glass of wine and a Xanax, you're like, red flag. Okay. Also, Yes, thank you. Neuropathy, I treated originally my neuropathy. So I don't know if you guys know my story, but I had like no feeling in my hands and feet. My leg was partially paralyzed at one point, and I struggled with neuropathy. And CBDA was like my favorite thing ever, right? But for the longest time before Green Compass, I was using THC for my neuropathy. It was the only thing that helped. And I was even on gabapentin at one time, but I was hallucinating and I couldn't handle it. I was like literally seeing things crawl off the wall. So neuropathy, yes. If someone's not getting relief from CBDA, now remember, so neuropathy is a full inflammatory issue, right? That is the degradation of the nerves. There's likely lots of comorbidities happening, or like me, I have a genetic. It was passed down through Agent Orange. But you guys have to be able to tell someone, listen, this can give you temporary relief, but I also recommend you take, right, broad spectrum or full spectrum during the day and CBDA, right? Like we want to make sure that we're still getting to the root of their issue and we're not just sticking a Band-Aid on it. This is a great Band-Aid though.
Also, really quick, Marlies, I just wanted to say, I want to make sure people understand if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like if the regimen that they currently have is working, there's no sense in trying to push something new or extra into the mix if they don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they want it, right, you can say, hey, you've already got this great regimen. It's not going to replace your full spectrum because that is a daily product. This is a little added oomph that you would like on the back end of the day. Get home, instead of grabbing a glass of wine, you grab an Unwind, right? Or you smoke some weed, and instead of smoking some weed, I'm being honest though, because I have a lot of customers that do all the things. And so I'm going to say, can I offer you something that's a little bit healthier for your body? Like you shouldn't be smoking or vape. I mean, if they're vaping, you should absolutely sell them this product. But yeah, use it as needed. This is the product that is absolutely doesn't have to build up in your system. But okay, let's talk about what happens if you take too much. So everyone knows about tolerances and tolerance breaks. I'm not saying that 2.5 milligrams of nano THC will build a tolerance because it is going straight in the bloodstream and it is being used by the body. But if someone decides to be taking 2 gummies a day, they might learn that they need more and more and more. And that just happens because once you get high, your body's already built a tolerance. Literally getting high is the plant telling you you've had too much. If you guys didn't know that, they teach this in cannabis medical school. Like high is actually too much. So we want to be right underneath that of impaired. So we're going to help our clients find their sweet spot, their Goldilocks spot. And the one Unwind gummy might be their Goldilocks. Half a gummy might be a Goldilocks. But we're looking for someone to feel the absence of the issue with a little extra oomph, right? They want to feel it working, but they don't want to be out of their gourd. And we have to be careful because I have clients that have gotten high from the regular full spectrums. I mean, I had a lady that was like, I'm straight up high. I was like, probably. I go, have fun with it. Don't feel bad about it. She was like, I'm sinning. I'm like, you're not sinning. You can't just sin from being high. It's when you do something that makes you, right? So for all of y'all Christians that have Christian people that are going to judge you, here's what I have to say. And you can check my stories. I made a highlight bubble on Instagram and I addressed this straight out of the gate. First of all, it's nobody's business what you do with your health. You don't have to be telling people what you do if you feel uncomfortable about it. That's number one. It's nobody's business. Number two, God made this and we have to use it responsibly, right? How many people abuse things that shouldn't be abused? Sugar, alcohol, gluttony, right? If it causes you to sin, you shouldn't use it. Easy as that. God didn't say not to have wine. He made water from wine, but also don't get drunk and have sex with somebody who's not your wife. So we have to be like, there's a way to talk about it. And I really, really love this product with all my heart. I think this is going to be life-changing for a lot of my clients that have looked for something stronger and the medical program is too expensive for them, right? Like every state is different, but this might be the product that wins over a lot of customers that you haven't been able to capture, or it could be the quality of life that they need. The last thing that I want to talk about is sobriety. I have a lot of people reaching out to me and saying, I'm sober. Do you think I should take this product? And I'm saying, no. If you've had a problem with marijuana in the past, this is not the product for you. because it will make you feel altered. It likely will make you feel altered. And in the alteration is when the addiction comes forth. And I work in trauma, and so we don't want to push someone into a space that they just shouldn't be anyways, right? Now, if someone's an alcoholic and they need an option that's more healthy, that's different, right? So we have an advocate that's very open about her addiction in the past, and she used marijuana as a coping mechanism. I said, listen to your heart. If God is saying probably not, then just follow that. If you're already getting the things that you need from this, you don't need to add anything, like Meredith said. If they're already happy, we don't have to stack anything more. This is going to be a premium product that people are going to want. Now, one of the questions I got, I think that is psychosomatic. Are you saying THC helped heal neuropathy or gives relief from the pain, Bill? For sure. THC is not going to heal your nerves. THC is an interesting cannabinoid. I don't want to go into all the science. CBDA will heal the nerves over time. CBDA will, because it works directly on the nerve cells. THC is more like an opiate where it blocks the pain. And it can heal certain things, but it's not likely to heal the neuropathy. Could it help bring the pain down and the inflammation down along with CBDA? Yes. And then they're getting more pain relief so that they can move into rehab or whatever they need to get their body feeling better. Right? We shouldn't ever be afraid of certain cannabinoids just because they have a certain indication. Relieved, not healed. Remember, over time, people, though, they do heal. I don't have, most of my diseases and disorders are gone now. And I say most because I haven't even checked some of them. I was referring to the person who said they had a high off full spectrum. No, I think she really was high. She was telling me how she felt, but she's sensitive. She's like a two dropper, like little drops. Okay. Some people can have psychosomatic high. That is a real thing. It's called the placebo effect or the nocebo effect. So some people will feel other things. So, you know those customers that always have a problem with everything. Okay. Last thing. So why do we have only 10 gummies in a jar? Well, number one, the gummies are huge. And number two, we have to still follow under the guideline of the maximum THC allowed in a container. So laws keep changing. So we just want to be under the limit of what we think likely could be the cap based on our interactions with the hemp authority and the FDA and things like that. So we just want to be safe, better than sorry. So we're not about to just make 30 things in a jar and then now we have to backtrack and make everything new again. So the jars feel different, the cap is different. And also there's only 10 gummies, which is a great price point, especially for someone like me who only needs a third of a gummy, right? I'm not even taking the full spectrum gummies because the full spectrum gummies settle me down too much. And I like to be a little hyped up, right? That's my personality. I like to be hyped up until it's ready for bed. And then I need you to knock my ass out. So this has been really good for me because I tend to, even with CBDA, that mentally pulls me all down, right? I feel really nice. But sometimes my physical body like literally can't settle down, right? Anybody else have that where they just like literally feel like, right? You just feel like all the energy of the world is streaming through your veins. So give me a gummy. Will our customers be able to buy the bundles when we launch? I don't know. I'm not on the marketing side at all. I'm only part of product development for a short window, and then they remove me from the equation. Okay. Did I cover everything? I think I covered everything.
Yeah, I think that was great.
Yeah, that was.
Do you guys have any questions? You wanna cover some things before we jump off?
I was gonna get Dawn. Dawn had a few things.
You know what? Honestly, a lot of the things that I was going to cover, Marlies already covered. So we checked a lot of boxes. That was fabulous.
Mhm.
So I think when we're talking about this, really where I want to go with this is who is this the ideal product for, right? So this isn't something that, as Meredith said, you're not going to take a customer that is finding success on their current routine and then just switch this all around. This is for instance, I had someone who had an acute injury and my advice to them was, you know, go to a dispensary because we live in Massachusetts. So that's an option for people and this is almost the exact ratio that I was telling them to get. Try to find something that's about 2.5 to 5 milligrams of THC with about 25 of CBD. And they really did have a hard time finding it and walked away with a suboptimal product. So I'm real happy about this. But, there are going to be instances where some of what we have already is not quite enough for people, and they might need something a little bit more. I love the idea of using this for sleep, breakthrough pain, and, especially for people that are concerned, because this is kind of always the beautiful part about CBD is we can tell people you can use these products and you're not going to be impaired. Well, you might be with this, so that in my mindset, I'm looking at this as, we're not going to tell somebody who drives a school bus for a living to use this during the day, right? But this could be something that they can use at night and then offset with their full spectrum or CBDA during the day, right? And you're going to get that carry through without that altered feeling. So walking people into things low and slow is going to be real important for people to understand with this product. There's been some back and forth about like, how do we dose our regular products? This is a little bit different. So low and slow, you're better off to just ease people into it. Marlies had talked about like a quarter of a gummy or a third. I think a quarter is reasonable. Cut them in advance into pieces and then let people understand that there is some time. So they're not going to notice, even though it is a full spectrum nano product, you're not going to have that instant benefit, but within about 30 to 45 minutes, you're probably going to have a good sense as to how you're feeling. If you need to layer more on, that's great, but this is a good option for people to be able to do that with. Meredith, do you have any questions so far, or is there anything in the chat? Okay.
No, you're good.
Does anybody want to come off of speaker and just ask any questions that they might have?
And let me be clear, whenever you're coming off a speaker to ask questions, like this is about how to use the product and stuff like that. We don't know anything about how corporate is going to bundle this stuff, how it's, the final pricing, any of that stuff.
We do have a call tomorrow.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think,
Leaders are going to be getting more information before we get to March the 1st. So we will be finding out more information on that part as we go through the week and approach March 1st. Let's see. When used, how long will Unwind be in the body on the job? I mean, it takes
you shouldn't take this on the job.
Yeah.
That is my professional opinion. You should not take this at work.
No.
So are we asking
I'm not
like
sure
how long it stays in the system, or, like for drug testing, or how long you would feel it in the body? So I guess that's the question.
So nano is a lot. So remember when we first had our first broad spectrum jellies, and a lot of people were saying that they like the tinctures because they lasted longer. And then we switched the broad spectrum, like the full spectrum, to dual action. Remember that? So now both of our broad spectrum and full spectrum are dual action. That's because nano hits the bloodstream really quickly. So sometimes within 15, 20 minutes on an empty stomach, depends on their metabolism, all these factors, right? Lots of factors go into how quickly somebody feels something or how quickly it's absorbed into the bloodstream. But it could be 15, 20 minutes as the earliest someone feels it. Because it's nano, it's being used up by the body really quickly and it's being pushed right out of the body again. Whereas a distillate or our dual action that has the distillate on the back end, that doesn't really show up until about 60, 90 minutes and has a longer effect. So these are great because you can take them late-ish at night and not feel groggy in the morning because they are processed by the body so much quicker. And that's why people were complaining that they were taking the broad spectrum gummies and not having long lasting effects, but the tinctures they were. But the broad spectrums work faster. So we were like, oh, what do we do? Let's do both of them. This is not a both of them product though, because we're really focused on the THC just going in and going right back out. It's doing its job. We're having some fun
Mhm.
with it, maybe using it for, and then, so this is going to be good even if somebody wanted to stack on top of their full spectrum for pain in the evening and they already take full spectrum and CBDA, and you can put it on top of that. But you don't want to be taking 3 full spectrum gummies to equate 1 Unwind because they don't have the same ratio at all.
Mm-mm.
You're just
Now,
stacking way too much CBD.
there's 2 ways to answer that question, Donna. Number 1, if you're asking how long THC stays in the system, that can be up to 30 days. Depending on how the body burns it off, different flushes you could use, whatever. But the rule of thumb is 30 days for any time you use a THC product to get out of your bloodstream for it not to pop on a test. Number 2, how long will you feel the effects in your body? The FAQ says somewhere between 3 and 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
It's
So,
shorter, like our other gummies are 6 to 12 hours, sometimes even more than that. This is going to be much less because it's nano. So like I said, it's going in the bloodstream and it's right back out.
yep.
We cannot give anybody advice on drug tests. I would steer clear of that. If they are drug tested, they should not take full spectrum products, period, end of story. They can put topicals on their body all day long, right? Almost all of our topicals are isolates anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Our pain cream is no longer full spectrum. So there should be no question about using pain creams or anything like that. Okay. How do you determine which BP? Well, okay. So Tony, I love you so much. We're gonna have to talk about this privately because if you are on a blood pressure medication that acts as a sedative, and you know that it acts like a sedative because you take it at night to slow things down, or you take it like a Xanax would be used, that's when you have to be careful because you don't want to take another sedative and stack it on top of a sedative, right? So, and also maybe we should talk about other ways to handle blood pressure. Okay. Can you say again in comparison, what is the difference in milligrams of THC? Okay, the original full spectrum gummies are less than 1 milligram of THC, less than 1, maybe 0.5. We don't know for sure because it wasn't packaged as a THC product, right? It's just a full spectrum product. In this case, so that's 25 milligrams, right, of CBD that we know is in the full spectrum, and negligible 0.5, maybe 1 milligram. We're talking about 2.5 milligrams of THC is in this product. The CBD has not changed, but we have increased the amount of THC to almost match the amount because the CBD is, it's not nano. It wouldn't be nano at 25 milligrams because it would make more sense to do 5 milligrams of CBD and 2.5 milligrams if they were just nano. But this is 25 milligrams of distillate, not nano, 2.5 milligrams of nano THC. So when you put them together, nano is 10 times stronger or more bioavailable, right? So we just say 10. So 25 and 25 is how you should think of it in your brain. So when someone asks you, what is this equivalent to the store down the street? You can say 10 to 25 milligrams. And they'll go, oh, damn, that's a lot of milligrams, right? Because it is, but here's the thing. You go, but it's nano.
Right.
Nobody has nano THC organic gummies on the market. It doesn't exist. I worked with a company called Simply. They were the only nano THC product on the market. I used it for Parkinson's clients because we needed to get rid of those tremors right away and they didn't want to smoke, right? So we got them these nano THC gummies, but they got pulled off the market. And that was the only nano THC at the time. Now, there could be a couple other brands, but there's nothing organic.
Mhm.
So we're talking about fast acting, quick relief. You can feel it. You may get high. Use your best judgment. Cool?
Now, the big thing about this though too is there's so many people that have had this trepidation, like, oh my gosh, we're getting into THC, right? Remember, yes, this can be a recreational kind of fun product if that's the desired outcome for someone. However, THC has been vilified because of 100 years of propaganda, basically making it into this big scary thing. And the reality is too, the THC that is on the market is way more than the average person needs these days. These dispensaries are dispensing products that are 30 to 43% THC. That is way too much. So it is no longer therapeutic, really, at that point. You've just pushed people way over the edge and given them, you've made them part of their couch, right?
Yeah.
That's not everybody needs to be part of the couch to feel better. And
No.
just driving home the point to people, like, this is huge from that perspective. Like, this to me is going to be the perfect amount for so many people that just need more, but don't need to get schnockered by the dispensary products, right? So start to think of this as the healing side of THC too. Like, we need to talk about this. There is a place for it. And it's finding that market, finding the person that it's right for, which is like so many people need this, so many people. But I'm real excited about it. And a lot of us, I think, need to start to remove our own social stigma, right? Like, oh, what is so and so going to think? Or, what is everybody going to think of this? Well, for starters, if this was not a product that was on the up and up, Green Compass would not have done it. Trust me when I tell you, right? Marlies touched on this earlier. There have been so many times that we have begged them for things and they're like, we hear you. However, ... right? They want to make sure that the legal side of things are done right, the product side, the innovation, all of it is done like it is supposed to be. So I am so excited about this. We have such a huge opportunity in front of us. And yet again, pioneering this industry in 6 years. Like, if you all are not getting as excited as we are about this, you need to stop and ask why we are this excited, right? Like, this company is doing things the right way, artfully, thoughtfully, right? They're not just pumping out a product to make a quick buck. They're putting something out there and designing these things so artfully crafted, right? That they've already taken into consideration all of this. So take that wall down for yourself. Start to really take a second look, right? Do yourself a favor and even just do a Google search. What is THC beneficial for? Right? Look this stuff up on your own. You don't need to be a nurse. You don't have to be a cannabis expert. You just have to have a small understanding of the hows and the whys behind why this is a good product, how it is going to help people. And trust me when I tell you, you're going to get great reception on the other end from people when they use it properly. So thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Yep.
And we're just about at 50 minutes. So
And I wanted to
Absolutely.
mention, there will be a lot of videos that some of the advocates will make about pouring out wine and drink and having a gummy instead of wine. But you know what? We should be happy that we have an alternative to alcohol, because when it comes down to it, we are not destroying people's livers. We're not dehydrating their bodies. We're not stripping their bodies of minerals. We're not creating raging maniacs from alcoholism, right? So, like, be happy that we do have a product that for some of us will be an alternative to our drinks on the weekends or every day. So there are people out there that need that, right? There are people that need to be scooted to the other side gently and lovingly. And if somebody has a problem with THC, you can allow them to have their space, right? But we've already had THC this whole time, you guys. We've had THC since the very beginning. So this is not new. THC is in all of our full spectrum products. We're just doing more of it.
Yep.
So if anybody's like, what, well, how am I going to be an advocate for Green Compass? I'm like, we already had all this. We're just doing more of it. Okay. And it
Not
was
to
the most
mention,
requested product. So it is
yes,
wine abuse to pour out a wine bottle. I mean, for some people, they need to pour out their wine. So,
but not to mention, look at what the alternative has been for people for years is like Delta 8. And look at all the problems that has caused, right? This is not where we need to go. We need to be focusing on the positive. We have a clean product that is safe and effective for people,
and
right?
Delta 8 has killed
So,
people.
yes.
We never had a THC. No one has ever died from marijuana ever until Delta 8 came to the market. And there were 3 deaths in the first year confirmed from poisoning from the solvents that were in the Delta 8 products. Now, we're not saying all Delta 8 products are bad, but the majority are completely unregulated and unpoliced. And so if we can keep people away from the other places to buy and keep it in our pockets, number one, that's good for our team sales, but also it's good for the health of our customers.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and explain them that, right?
All right, guys.
Awesome.
We
Thank you,
Awesome.
Dawn.
Yes,
all of
thank
that.
you.
One last thing, I'm going to wrap up with this. Also understand that whenever Green Compass does things like this and it takes long to get to what you think is taking it to get to the market, they are creating a base for us that is strong and secure. So when regulations hit the market, they will hit the market. I don't know when, but regulations are being worked on. When regulations hit the market, you can be safe and secure knowing that Green Compass has worked hand in hand to make those regulations with the federal government what they are and what they will be. So whenever that comes down, we will not literally have the rug yanked out from underneath of us, and our business will still survive and still thrive, and they will thrive like mad when it happens, because we will be one of the very few people left standing with a product and a company and a mission that is pure, essentially. We're not tainted. We're not doing something out there that's icky and gross. We are here for the mission of people's health, and that is it. And that's what they hold strong to. And if you haven't had a chance to meet Meredith Cook, about said Meredith Croom, Meredith Cook, I hope at one point you get to meet her, and as soon as you do, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say that this comes from a pure place. She is a darling of a human being, and she just wants to help people feel better. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope that answered a lot of your questions. If you have any more questions or anything specific, reach out to your leaders and we can get those questions answered for you, and be ready to rock it, because March 1st, it's going to be wild what this product brings for your customers and those that you haven't even talked to yet. So thank you, Marlies.
And don't forget pre-sale. Get your products now,
Yes.
right? Start to sample them.
Yep.
I don't want to say stock up, but stock up, right?
I stocked up, and by the way, I was able to put 8 in the cart of the 3-pack, because that's how serious I am about. I'm gonna test the crap out of these on people, because I have people that are like, well, I kind of want
Absolutely.
something that feels stronger and da 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 da. So I told my BNI team, I was like, listen, there's something coming that you can drink. I mean, you can eat and then have a mocktail and feel real good. And they were like, give it, like everyone was so excited. And I was like, I will likely sell all of those jars in one meeting because people want it that bad.
Yeah.
So listen, it's none of your business
Absolutely.
what people want to do with themselves. We just want to be safe with medications. We want to make sure they don't drive, right? But other than that, it's none of our business.
Yeah.
People want to do. So,
all right, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you. Have an amazing night.
You
Bye,
too.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Marlies, for joining us.
No problem.
All right, bye.
Thanks.